Hey guys, welcome back to Jams and Drams. My name's David Beebe. This is my weekly hang with guitars and maybe, well, definitely a whiskey. I'm just going to do some playing and just to test things out while people join the stream. So if anyone is watching, if you can just let me know whether you can hear my voice okay and if you can hear the guitar and backing track balance all right. And yeah, let me know where you are. Squeaky chair. Okay, so hopefully that is going to be clear. Okay, Sol, Gareth, thanks very much for letting me know. Cheers. Very good to see you. Jason, Volcan, good to see everyone. Thanks for joining me. So usually I do this streams on a Sunday evening. It was my birthday yesterday and I was away on a gig, so just wasn't really, I did get back, but it wasn't quite feasible. So we were there late, different time, just the way it is sometimes. I do have some notes this week to keep me on track. So yeah, let me know. Thanks for letting me know if you can hear it and where you're all watching from. Be great to know where people are tuning in from. So what have I been up to since the last one? So yeah, gigs and video work, app work. Yeah, and just yesterday had a slow drive back from Hexham, where the gig was, and a nice birthday lunch and a chilled evening. So this week, I was supposed to be away at my family, but I had to postpone that for the month. So I'm going to be, again, just using it in time for just getting some practice in, some editing done, and yeah, working on app things, secret app things, which are very exciting. So the stream should next week be back to, oh, Sol from India, amazing. Where in India are you? That's awesome. So yeah, stream, this should be back to Sunday for this week, so this coming Sunday, but at a different time, because hopefully I'm kicking off my first of my international guests, and hopefully I'm going to get Leon Todd on to, well, general catch up and a hang. It's been a long time since I've chatted to Liam on camera. He's in Australia, so hence the time difference. So to try and get this working, I'm going to have to do it a lot earlier in the day, so I may be drinking a little bit less whiskey on this Sunday. But yeah, Leon Todd, amazing guitar player, an absolutely lovely dude, an absolute legend when it comes to all the fractal stuff. I mean, he has saved my bacon, saved my ass so many times when it comes to figuring out how to do some deep dive things in the FM3 or the Axe FX. So yeah, I'm sure we'll be nerding out about that kind of thing and just catching up with what Leon's doing and just trying to make these streams a little bit more kind of back and forth occasionally. So it's not always just me like blathering on and drinking and shredding the camera. So yeah, watching from Nashville. Hope as well going on. Yeah, Vice Atrucci. Yeah, good to see you again. And yes, Jason, you're in Stuttgart. Yep. Oh, you saw Stephen Wilson there. Amazing. How was that? Never seen him live, but obviously well, in person, but yeah. So yeah, I'm fingers crossed to get that stream like locked down for this Sunday with Leon, and I'll try and be a little bit more proactive about sort of posting that through the week, so the new times are clear. Dan, yes man, it was good. It was nice and chilled. Nice steady drive back from the gig in Hexham, and then just Sunday lunch and just took it easy really. Quite tired, so hence why I'm doing this tonight instead. Hope you're well, man. Have you been gigging? So whiskey wise, so let's do that first. In fact, I'm going to change guitars because I'm probably going to be using the hollow. So whiskey wise, I've got some interesting choices. So yeah, we're going to be using the Royal Han hollow, I think, but I don't know. So I've got replenished my, these are gifts, birthday gifts. So Angel's Envy, bourbon, my favorite bourbon at the moment. That one. So it's I'm not a massive bourbon fan, so this has been my gateway. I much prefer rye and obviously single malts. So there's that one. And then this is the wild card. This is an interesting one. So this is Westwood whiskey. So this is actually an American single malt, which is kind of crazy heresy, but it's really, really good. So I've actually been to this distillery. It's in Oregon, Portland, where my good friend, business partner, solo app developer Mike is. And so, yeah, this is a gift from him. Very, very good, and obviously surprising because you don't think America when you think single malts. Yeah, so I don't know, can't decide what to. Oh, there's one more as well, of course. This is a crazy one. Check this one out. So this was from my friends Janja and Zhenya. So this crazy Glenfiddich presentation box thing. So that's a Speyside single malt, which I'm not super knowledgeable on Speyside, but yeah, very, very tasty. So so yeah, I'll crack one of those in a moment. And other stuff, just plugging, I guess. For those of you that are new to the stream, this is, like I said, I'll just say it once more, I kind of hang out once a week, play guitar, do some teaching, do some answers and questions, just have a general hang. It could be anything, a mixture of things really. But the key theme is I always have a dram, have a whiskey. And basically, most things will be kind of based around what I've been doing. Really sorry, I need to get some oil on my chair, it's super squeaky. Throughout the week, or so just lately I figured I'd sort of theme this stream around memorizing tunes. I've been trying to learn Misty, and then it's just got me thinking about how I learn tunes, how I memorize them, and why I've kind of struggled with that in the past and still do to some extent. Just so I thought I'd talk about that and see what other people's thoughts are. You can hide your weed in there. I'm not a massive, I'm not super well versed on SNL, but you could hide, hide all sorts in there. Yeah, and that's, sorry, sidetrack there. Also on the channel, other than the live streams, I've got like gear stuff, lessons, and all the usual guitar type content. I also do produce an app called Solo, which some of you may be aware of, for learning to visualize a fretboard and guitar chords and things like that. And you can find all that linked in the description, along with my Patreon, which is another great way to support the stream if you would like to. That gets you all the bonus materials to my YouTube content. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about, well, I'm not going to talk too much. I am going to do some playing because the whole point of this is to kind of practice as well. But if anyone's got any questions, or if you've got any suggestions, and it doesn't have to be about memorizing tunes, it could be anything you like. I just sort of set the theme as like to get the ball rolling, to get me started. Anyone is more than welcome to derail me in the chat with whatever questions you like. But so yeah, learning tunes. How do you guys go about it? Is it something you do? Is it something you care about? And I don't necessarily just mean like jazz stuff. It could be just learning songs of any style or genre. But the key thing I think when I'm talking about like learning, or is memorizing tunes, is for like having the chords and form in your head in such a way that you can improvise through it without needing to look at the chords to be prompted of it. So I think there seems to be, I've kind of gone through a few different phases with this. It was definitely something when I was at sort of music college that was seen as a skill that was really important, and I definitely felt it was important, and I could not do it at all. And it was one of the things that spurred me on as a real motivating goal, desire, was to be able to develop the skill, to be able to look at the chord chart for the first time, be able to play and improvise through them. But I kind of worked on that so hard, so much in my early 30s, utilizing Real Book and iReal and things, that I didn't know about it. I definitely developed relying on it as a crutch in order to just prompt the mental flags as to what sort of comes next. I talk about this quite often with my friend John Cordy, who is a great ear player and kind of loves to sort of memorize tunes. He's very good at it, and he kind of teases me about it somewhat affectionately, I think. But it's one of those things that I'm just not so good at. I can pretty much play through anything at sight when I'm seeing the chords and improvise through it. But it's been definitely one of the weaker aspects of my playing, I would say, in terms of just retaining, and so over the years, I guess it's been, I don't know, 10 years since I've been kind of really working on this kind of playing and changes playing and improvising and stuff. I think that I've kind of come to the desire that as a new goal, the goal isn't as kind of, the goalposts have shifted, and it's now no longer the desire to just be able to play over anything that I can see, but now it's to actually learn the things and have things more of like deeply ingrained. Now the argument is very often that when you do that, you play better, but I'm not entirely convinced that's the case for me. I think there's a bit of a uncanny valley, or a bit of a weird dip where, yes, if I really, really know it, I will, but if I kind of half know it, or only 90% know it, then I really don't play as well as if I was as creative or as free as if I was looking at the chart. So yeah, it's an interesting one, and there definitely seems to be the goal or the focus from within, kind of like the higher skill to attain is to have all this stuff locked away in memory. But I just wondered, I put out a poll on Instagram, I think, and maybe a YouTube post asking like how many people or how many tunes do people know. And I'm just kind of curious, because it seems to be, like the big flex is like having things memorized and being able to play all this stuff without sort of resorting to charts. But yeah, I'm not ashamed to say it. I probably have 10 in terms of like maybe chords, melody, and some maybe an arrangement, and can play through them. And I think if I had to do a longer gig than that, I think I could probably get, and depending on how far we stretch the boundaries of style here, maybe if we're talking just to standards, it would be 10, but if we kind of stretch it out a little bit more to more kind of fusion or funk or soul kind of, well, then it goes really wide. But yeah, anyway, that's kind of where I'm at with it. But let's see what the comments are saying. Aaron. So the thing I noticed for myself when improvising is the mental bandwidth required to visualize harmony on the fretboard is so intense that the things I'm playing feel disconnected from my ears. Yeah, I mean that's, if there's a real interesting point there about the connection between your finger and fretboard. Your ear, finger, and fretboard. I think sometimes that can be an ear training thing, definitely, and the connection thing. It can also be just having not worked on it enough that it's not subconscious. That is, I've definitely had elements of that where I've kind of, my visualization has exceeded the connection to my ear, and therefore it's maybe a little disconnect. But I do think that it's like two sides of the same coin with the visualization and the ear thing. If it really is as deeply ingrained, then you can look and see what a 3 looks like, and you can hear what that 3 sounds like by when you look down at it. I've certainly found that myself, in terms of, and that's helped with the connection. It might just be that you're not as you just haven't worked on it enough to get it to the subconscious level. Yeah, that's it. I think it's possibly as so it starts to feel like all I'm doing is visualizing and thinking about chords, and the artistic side of music making feel suppressed by all the mental activity. Yeah, it really is. Like I say, there's these humps it goes through where if you kind of think about it enough or don't think about it enough, it can all fall off the rails. But generally, I think, yeah, if it's, there are certain tunes like that are very, very ingrained, and then it does become a more freeing aspect. But in the middle ground, or the bit where until it is completely ingrained, I definitely feel like I still play better with, if I'm having a mental flag or a prompt from a chart. I should also say that I've spent a ton of time working on visualization as well. Fair enough. I mean, that's subjective, and I guess what is a ton, and it's going to be, and the amount required for each person is going to be different. Yeah, interesting one. There does need to come a point where, I mean, the word visualization is, I'm certainly guilty of overusing that potentially. There does need to come a point where it's a metaphor. I mean, you're not literally visualizing. If I was to sit and play, scratch it in the top. If I was to sit and just, I don't know, like, and think of, I don't know, E Dorian, say, when I'm going through this and I'm just kind of randomly picking notes from E Dorian, I'm not thinking consciously of what the intervals are, and I can do this without looking, I can do it while I'm talking. It's all subconscious. So it does happen. I know I have worked on it to the point where I've seen each one of those, and if I slow it down and do it out loud, like, so 1, flat 7, 5, 6, flat 7, 1, flat 3, 2, 1, so 5, 6, flat 7, flat 3, 1, 6, flat 3. It is all happening under there, subconsciously, but I don't have to, I'm not, when I say about visualization, that is still the skill that I've worked on, that's still what is happening in the back of my brain, but it's not, I'm not being conscious about it. When I'm thinking or when I'm playing with E Dorian, I'm going to try to phrase musically based on all that subconscious stuff. So it's the kind of front part of your mind that's thinking of that and taking over. And I think that's the same thing with regards to just like having assimilated all the changes and all of, the charts in that you, It's just that for me, because I've used the actual, real books or iRoll or whatever as a crutch and not force myself, I think I may have just relied on it too long, maybe. Not that I think it's necessarily a bad thing. I don't think it's super bad. I know people say it is the goal to not have your nose in the chart, and it's good for communication and playing with other people, of course. Different. Gosh, it's quite warm in here. I'm going to crack my whiskey as well before I start playing. So, one final thing, Aaron, on that visualization thing with the ear stuff is that, and the disconnection, is that eventually you learn that there is like a certain sound of what intervals sort of sound and feel like, and that is what you're ultimately trying to program with. I don't know if you do the interval system or if you do caged or whatever it is you use, but like being able to visualize is just a placeholder until, visualization is very important, don't get me wrong, I've been obsessed with that, but it really is just a placeholder that you're using these visualizations to sort of learn what these things sound like. And then it's the mental and audiating ability and the cataloging of things. So relative to anywhere where my root note is, what is it going to sound like if I go up a string and back 2 frets? And over time, yes, you've learned what the visual shape is for that. We know that's a flat 3, but like my ears will just before I play that note, will be able to hear what it's going to sound like as well. And I think that all that is what you're kind of subconsciously programming too. Like I say, it's two sides of the same coin. Like you've got the visualization aspect of the intervals, but on the other side, it's what those intervals sound like. And both of those things, I think if you're doing this correctly, efficiently, are like being programmed subconsciously. Kind of veering off topic there onto visualization, but easily done. Let me just grab a drink. How do I pronounce your name? XYZ, XYZ. Is it XYZ or is that... it's like 2 minutes. I'm like 2 minutes behind, but I literally have so much vocabulary that I can improvise and write with. And I'm starting to understand the fundamental language forms in all of its inversions. But I can't remember or even look at a standard. I have such a mental block around arranging this like deeply subconscious knowledge with anything as concrete as a song. Well, I mean, maybe the first thing is to actually like learning the songs. I mean, one of the things that I have done, and maybe this is actually a crucial element, is that songs where I've actually learned the melody, I've learned even maybe the lyrics if it's a tune, and I've really spent a lot of time kind of exploring the melody, the connection of the intervals to the chords, the intervals of the melody and what they, and how they relate to function over the chords. I think that kind of thing makes it stick a bit more. So actually learning the songs, as daft as it sounds. Yeah. Okay, I am going to do... You know what? I'm going to go with the wild card, the Westward. This was a Christmas whiskey from, like I say, Solo App, Mike. So, Little Jack, Lilius McKinnon, music by heart, published in 1938. I've been trying to read this book on and off recently. Memory is a weird thing, especially when it comes to actually playing an instrument. Huh, interesting. I don't know that book. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I will check that out. That's interesting. Interesting little bit of research there for me to go and do. Thanks for the tip there. Basil, how's it going? Nice haircut, bro. You look 30. That's very kind. I do not look well. I don't look dirty, but I do appreciate you saying it's very kind. I certainly don't feel it. I'm feeling every one of my 43 years. Cheers, everybody, though, and thanks for the wishes and kind words. And thank you so much for joining, watching the stream. Thanks for supporting me and checking out my stuff and engaging. It's really what kind of makes it all worth it, is the back and forth and the chat with you guys. And yeah, that's what is the fun thing about doing the streams and building the community. So cheers, everyone. Thank you. Like, I love chewing on vocabulary and ear training, but applying that is really hard. Yes. Yeah. I think there's so much, like you say, chewing on it. Like, there's so much in terms of how you could define what vocabulary even means. What does chewing on vocabulary mean? What does chewing on ear training mean to you? It can mean so many different things to different people. And I definitely have, I think there are different really sort of like efficient ways that you can go about everything, and perhaps less efficient ways. And I've definitely gone down some inefficient alleys with it, and that it can make it even harder than it necessarily is. And this stuff is hard to teach. It's hard. I don't think there's like a really solid pedagogy on sort of actually like applying this stuff at the coalface, turning the sort of perhaps theoretical elements into the nuts and bolts of doing it. Yeah. Nice haircut indeed. Yeah, well, it was for, so because I was away gigging over the weekend, we went out for a meal on Friday night, and so I, just to try and tidy myself up a little bit, because I was in a bit of a mess with the old hair, so I went out, and it was much appreciated that I did that. So, but I was really unwell on Friday, actually. I was really sick, so fortunately the meal out was a little bit a little bit of a wash because of having me and chundering all afternoon. But yeah, at least I looked smart. It always tends to become a bit of a balancing act between what we learn, say, a memory exercise versus what we learn as a song. Also, I think it comes to us in an aha moment when we're playing. Yeah, that's a great point, Volkan. Yes. Volkan, am I thinking? No, yeah, I was thinking different area. Yeah, it's a great point. I think things do come. Like, I was working on the melody to very early, the B set, and I'm going to play this perhaps a bit later. Very early, which is Bill Evans' tune. It's really quite. It's incredible. It's a beautiful jazz waltz thing, but it's not tricky, and it's not easy, and the melody has eluded me for so long in the B section. I always making mistakes, and I think I finally kind of got it to click and lock, and it was like a bit of as it kind of deciphered it. It was like an aha moment, like you say, but it is a balancing act. Yep. So yeah, you've got loads of chord scale, solfege, vocab, but playing it something other than your own melody is tough. I suppose it also depends on whether it's even your goal. Like, do you want to be able to apply it and like learn do you want to learn repertoire and songs and standards and things? This can be a very jazz focused pursuit. It doesn't have to be. It can be any style of music where making the changes or outlining the changes is important, where you can't just kind of blast one big diatonic scale shape over everything and use your ears. It's much harder to do that. So it can be a very jazz biased pursuit, but yeah. Basil, I think the most important thing in addition to intervals is the circle of fifths and fourths. I think it is, in terms of what do you mean, in terms of learning memorizing? Because I think you may have a kernel of truth in that if you get really good at being able to, if you're really, really good at knowing what root notes are, a fifth and a fourth up and down, then you start to be able to spot within progressions and standards and things, very, very common movements. So you can kind of, some of the techniques I'll talk about that I use later on, is that you can chunk things together to help you predict and remember what's coming next. So yeah, I do think Some people talk about it being a waste of time and not particularly useful, but I definitely think absolutely that being able to just know instantly what root notes are up a fourth or a fifth, either way direction, is so important, because when you look at actually songs and progressions, especially the American songbook and like popular music and stuff, the amount that the bass note, forget the chord symbol, just look at the bass notes, the amount that the bass notes move down a fifth or up a fourth is just all the time, either that or by a half step, by a semitone. And so much of like music theory can be explained in terms of its power of why it works just by strong bass movement going down a fifth or up a fourth, or by a semitone. It's you can almost, in fact, like, this is something I do sometimes, is this little example where if you are to play like random chords that are just descending in fifths, like going down, so like if I that kind of thing, that sounds not great. There we go. Or if I was to play something like yeah, that's another one, like just descending chromatically like that, changing whatever chord type. The power of like bass movement to explain things is yeah, really, really interesting. Cool. Thanks for the birthday wishes. Yep. Aaron, nice to hear you talk about visualization practice as a placeholder. I've worked on the 2-point system for about 2 or 3 years, and I find that I'm constantly visualizing, but maybe I need to let so you can type in something else. Yeah, it's a placeholder in the sense of it is a means to an end. In order for it to eventually, it needs to go to the back of the brain. It needs to be subconscious, like everything really. But yeah, it does. It's also, like I was talking about this coin, it's the other side. On the one side you have the visualization aspect, on the other side it's the oral connections that you're learning to see. Like, I think that's where things really start to become second nature then. I think it was my experience anyway. Herb 1234, how's it going, man? Good to see you. Yeah, so this all sort of kicked off in my head because, as I say, I was just trying to learn learn Misty. Let me try and do some playing. Hopefully this is going to work with so I think I've got like the chords in terms of blowing over it and playing. I haven't quite got like chord melody thing or the melody solid, but I'll try it anyway, see how it goes. I'll do the last one looking at the chart. So, because I'm on camera and live, it's also probably not as good. It's inevitable, especially where it's not quite in there, but as soon as I start looking at it, yeah, so I'll do one more chorus without looking at it now I'm a little bit relaxed. So I think it's more there than I think, but it's just not quite as, it's in that dip I was talking about. Yeah, Dan, B sections leave the head quicker. Yeah, this one. That's it. I'm gonna do it now. So that's what I was working on. Maybe just started playing that a week ago or so. Things that are like much more solid though. Let's see what tempo this is at. Dog shit back in the butt. Can't do anything about that. Try this. Stella is that is probably one of my favourites, and is pretty much in there. Yeah, I get them mixed up. A lot of them can be. Yeah. Yeah, Lawrence. Cheers, dude. Yeah, this is beautiful. Like Fibonacci's take on a hollow, semi-hollow Les Paul shape. P90s are really. I mean, they can be problematic, but I mean, you know, I think it is a really lovely tone. I'm pretty sure Lawrence there is going to be joining me for a stream in a couple of weeks. So everyone, yeah, check out Lawrence's YouTube channel and his guitar playing. He is an absolute monster. Very inspiring playing. Side note: do you share your QC presets anyway? This one's beautiful. Yes, in fact, you can go and grab this exact preset. With my QC quad cortex presets, it's a little bit hard to kind of like. There's no marketplace. I can't really kind of sell them or anything very efficiently. But so I've got like free presets and captures for all my like the amps that I'm working through. So this is my deluxe. My deluxe B-verb, normal, so it's captures of my deluxe, so it's downstairs, so it's not in shot. And this one is one of the free ones. If you want to get the entire suite of my captures for the deluxe reverb and my Friedman B50 and my Morgan AC20, then if you join the Patreon, links are in the description, then and follow me on the Cortex Cloud, then I can send you the whole full capture suites. The reason, it's not even so much as about, you know, selling them that bothers me, but the Cortex Cloud is so hard. It's not really designed for like mass captures, like mass libraries of things. So the way that I do my capture suites is I do fairly extensive, like all channels, you know, all settings, you know, gain all the way through the ranges, combinations and things. So I can have like 60 or 70 captures for an amp, for my Friedman, for example. And sharing that stuff on Cortex Cloud is really clunky. It's like, it's kind of designed for doing one or two captures and you share them. It's not really, it's kind of, so what I didn't want to do is just flood it and make it really messy and hard to navigate. So I do like presets with my kind of favorite captures, and you can just go and get them on Search Me David Beebe on Cortex Cloud, and you can download those for free. If you want the full, you know, if you are a nerd and you want the full capture suites, then yeah, if you join the Patreon, then I can send them over to you. So this is, yeah, there's what I use the quad for is for the captures of my actual amps. I don't really use the modeling in the quad cortex. When it comes to actual modeling, my first choice is the fractal stuff. Cheers, guys. Fancy Clown, how much mental real estate do you devote to the rhythm of the lines? Good question. That's a really good question. I think timing, I try to devote a lot of certain, hopefully subconscious real estate to timing. Rhythm of the lines, I would say, in terms of stylistically, I wouldn't, you know, I'm not like enormously, I think with like styles like jazz, which is, it's kind of very much based in eighth notes and maybe double time or eighth note triplets in terms of the phrasing of it. So if you're improvising with a kind of a foot in those kind of territories, then, or traditions, the amount of different rhythm stuff is probably less varied than, you know, than maybe other styles, as the core language of the rhythm. So I wouldn't necessarily say but you know, in terms of that's at a very, very basic reductive level. If you are, you know, you can be certainly creative, and probably not enough is the short answer. But timing, definitely. I mean, that is hopefully something is always on. David, is there a fine line between practicing and playing? Sometimes I feel like I practice more than I actually play. Yeah, I mean, that can be the case. I think it's not necessarily a bad thing. Maybe you're one of the exceptions. I think a lot of people do tend to play more than they practice, especially when it's like for enjoyment and you're trying to maybe distract from the hard work of what you need to do to improve on any given certain thing, maybe. And I think it is a fine line. I think it's difficult to do, but I will give myself very specific points of time, moments of time where I'm like maybe away from this setup and just sort of downstairs in another room with the guitar and try to like treat that as like actual practice time. The temptation with if I'm sitting here is to work, you know, do guitar work or play maybe. But yeah, I mean, if you want to play more, then you can, you know, you can practice playing is really important as well. So I think the line to distinguish is like practice that is on something actionable and like objective. You know, it may be a lick, it may be an exercise, it may be some kind of defined start and end point goal that you can tangibly say, okay, this I'm struggling with, so I'm going to work on it for 10 minutes and really work on that and not get distracted and just start noodling or playing. That I would kind of define more as like, well, that's practice. And then also have, you know, 10 minutes where you're just playing tunes or you're just, you know, exploring. That I still think that is probably practice though. Maybe try not to get too caught up or hung up in it. Just if you're playing guitar and you're kind of exploring. In fact, maybe that's a good word to use actually, is that you're actually, you know, whether you're practicing or playing, if you're actively sort of exploring either new things or challenging things, it doesn't matter whether you're doing that in the form of an exercise or you're playing songs or things. I think that's perfectly possible. Dan, I just saw it go on my watch, the Patreon thing. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let me know what you want, by the way, Dan. I'm not going to do it right this second, but I will after the stream. If you want me to send you any of the full capture suites, then yeah, just let me know what it is you want. I say I've got the Brown i50 Deluxe, the Morgan AC20, and the Deluxe Reverb Fender of my actual amps. I haven't yet released the clean channel of the Brown i50, but I'm guessing you're probably more interested in the drive. Basil, does breathing play a role with timing? Possibly. I think I definitely have the thing where will breathe between phrases. That's quite a common thing to do. Imitating the kind of sax thing. Turn my camera's off. Getting notifications. Yeah, so I think probably does. Yeah. What do you think? Why do you think there seems to be a higher proportion of mad pick grips in jazz, other than Marty Friedman, the rock outlier? Yeah, I mean I'm just thinking the premise through the question. So yes, you're saying that. First of all, do I agree? I think yes, I do. There does seem to be a lot of the sort of maybe. In fact, this is something I want to potentially talk to Lawrence about as well, because I know he's quite a legato player and fantastic jazz guy. But one of the things I certainly struggle with picking and jazz and things is like so many of the lines to play have to cross the strings in so much more awkward fashions than I think a lot of rock things. I think a lot of rock is, unlike guitar vocabulary from rock and metal, is kind of just built around the nature of ascending this adjacent frets or adjacent strings going in a more sort of, just throwing up a string or the sweep kind of thing with a shape that works. But the problem with the jazz thing is that you're often playing, and you know this of course, Dan, is that you're often playing like lines that were never intended for guitar, so they sit and fall awkwardly on the guitar themselves. So I think maybe it results in, because you have to cross so many, like the arpeggio kind of things that you're doing, those kind of things. I wonder if it results in the right hand going a little bit weird with gripping things. I know, like when I was kind of trying to do the so like those kind of like the boppy heads are so un-guitar-y that you have to really come up with sort of faffy ways to do it. So going through the Mike Marino sort of economy swing picking. Can't even do that too fast. So he does like a almost like economy picking, but like with swing, and it really helps the transition from the long to short beats going across the strings for those kind of phrases for bop type heads. It's been a little while since I worked on that, but I think it may be like a result of the actual lines and language. Maybe. What do you think, Dan? Little Jack, what's better in your opinion, a stereo amp or two mono amps, or maybe a keyboard amp? I'm looking to get a wider sound. Are you talking about an amp like guitar amps, or for like amplifying a modeler, or I probably would use, if I was going to do a stereo rig, which I have done in the past, it would be two different amplifiers, mono, just normal amplifiers going out left and right. With my rigs, my live, I run the FM3, but I actually sum to mono. I don't even go into the PA in stereo with that stuff. Better for me. I mean, I would like to be running stereo with that. Sol, do you think major, minor, and pentatonic scales are enough to write amazing sounding solos? Oh, absolutely, of course. Some of the, yeah. I mean, what a question. I mean, the greatest stuff ever written, and played has been mostly that stuff. I say mostly, a lot of the core things about guitar playing, are built around that, our entire vocab and language. And I suppose if we combine practicing and playing, we are praying. Yeah, it's always praying when it comes to trying to play through tricky stuff. Dan, yeah, the only thing I could think of really is something to do with swing picking or the nature of the lines. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Oh, so it's a modeler. In that case, Little Jack, then yes. What I have done in the past is run, before I was going with in-ear rigs, I was using the FM3, going into, out the FM3 into two Laney LFR 112s in stereo. Not on every gig, didn't have the space on every gigs, but when I had the space, that was very, very nice. Which is, Lawrence, yeah, I find that swing picking stuff really hard. Marino kills it. Yeah, love it. I mean, that's it. That's one of the sort of nuggets that I want to hopefully get into with you, Lawrence. But I won't, I won't spoil. I won't start a one-way conversation on this stream and spoil what we're going to do. Yeah, it's super hard. But just as a brief kind of preamble to that, one of the things I really struggle with is tempos, like swing tempos that are like up, medium up, but not like so up that it straightens out. And I find that is the kryptonite for me. It's trying to articulate like between like 180 and 230 or something, where if you straighten out, if you play really straight, I personally don't like that sound. I know some people do, and it's their thing where they're playing very straight at those tempos. But it's always kind of been a bit, I don't know, a little bit itchy for me, that the kind of feel when you get very kind of like straight eighths against swing at those tempos. Obviously, as you get faster and faster, things just have to straighten out. But I do remember chatting with Kreisberg once, and it was this like kind of trying to get out of him, like, well, what tempos do you feel like it's, where does it feel good to sort of straighten out? And one of his things was like just trying to push it as far, try and stay swung as fast as possible. And I think I do aesthetically, that's the kind of would be, if I was at that kind of a level of caliber of player, that would be where I'd like to go to. And I think the Marino thing, by following the direction of the line and the with the pick in a kind of almost economy way, is kind of a way is potentially an avenue to get that. I didn't work on it enough. I was doing some heads and things, and but I never got it, so it was built into my sort of like line playing. But no, Kreisberg, as far as I'm aware, doesn't do that. He's like he's still mostly like alternate picking with legato fragments and hammer-on pull-offs. Sol, do you feel like the pick attack on the quad cortex is not as good as the FM3? I feel like the transients don't come through as good as it does with the real amp or even fractal units or NAM. Oh, great question, Sol. I would say that it is massively dependent with the quad cortex in terms of feel, like transients and the attack. Captures are brilliant. In fact, I would say that when my captures of my amps, they feel as good as the fractal stuff. They feel fantastic. The actual amp modeling on the quad is variable. Some of it is very, very good and others are not. I think the Deluxe Reverb actual model in the quad cortex is excellent. The Friedman is in there, it leaves a lot for me to be desired, I think, as compared to the captures I've done of my real Friedman, obviously the real amp and the fractal. So I think you have to be like careful when we're talking about the feel of the quad cortex. Are we referring to the amp captures, the amp modeling, and if so, which amp models? Because I think they vary a lot in terms of feel and tone and accuracy. Yeah, exactly. Phrasing bebop properly. Although that kind of works too, bebop property. It is bebop rental, beachfront rental, is not easy on the guitar. It is not. It is not at all. Things like that. So, like Marino would go, I'm pretty sure. So on that part. So in order to get the short to long beat there, you go down, down. Yeah. Kind of veered off, haven't we? But that's good. That means the interaction's working. Anyone's got any other questions? Please do feel free to let me know. It can be memorizing tunes. It can be phrasing, bebop, or gear. Anything you like. Yeah, this, so like around the sort of 200. Like certainly not going to happen today. Who do you take inspiration from when it comes to phrasing? Any non-guitarists? Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've spent a lot of time in horn players. So Coltrane, Jolly, Sonny Stitt more recently. And then piano players. So like, well, I don't know whether I say I actually then ended up playing that stuff, but it's certainly what I listen to and enjoy, and I reckon that it's probably from the piano player stuff, and hopefully that sort of comes. Volcan. When you approach memorization, what in particular is tripping you up with it? I may have answered this already, so apologies if I missed it. I mean, I don't know. It's just, I think what trips me up is that I've spent so much time having the prompts and not having to exercise that part. But the things that I've done in terms of, I think like trying to chunk things into bigger pieces in terms of with harmonic analysis is very, very useful. So like I was talking about with the bass movement earlier on, in terms of that being a good clue as to how to have more things sort of come to the front. I think another really useful thing is to sort of think in terms of like bigger chunks of phrases, like 1/625s, 3/625s, the larger kinds of things that were happening. Like I don't know, if we go back to like Misty. The way that my brain, this is why the melody is probably not as, it's probably why the chords have come quicker than the melody. Let me see if I can do this. Oh no, that's not going to work, is it? For some reason let's see if this works. Yeah, hopefully you can see that still. My split screen's not in the right setting and I can't change it, I'm afraid. So like, what I'm trying to think of here is like, I've got one, then a secondary to K25 to the 4 chord. Then we've got like a 4 minor kind of sound here. So this is like a backdoor 2/5, but it's really kind of just like a 4 minor kind of minor subdominant sound that takes us back to 1. 625. So in my head, I know I'm going, like, if I'm thinking about this for playing over, I've got the 1, then I've got that secondary 2/5, so going into the 4 chord there. So the and then that minorizes into the, so that's the 4 chord, that minorizes into the 4 as a backdoor into the 1, and then it's a 1/625, and then here the G, so 3/625, then that repeats, and I know that's the A section. And that's how this stuff kind of, that's how I've gotten to the point where I think this is possible now. If I was just trying to arbitrarily think, okay, I've got an E flat major, then I've got a B flat minor, and then an E flat 7, that is much, much harder. Like chunking the analysis. Obviously, you've got to be able to like both understand intellectually this, and more importantly, you've got to be able to hear it, so it doesn't matter how you understand it intellectually, but certainly understanding the theory can help as well, speed that process. But if you can hear it as well, then, and understand it, then you can think of these larger chunks, and that kind of helps. I know Dan Smith, if you're still watching, he thinks this way too, and it's massively helpful for seeing or hearing, and then like having it sort of click. Now, it's not always sort of possible to do, as we'll talk about, and maybe I've got time to start to do some other stuff. Yeah, Mr. Wet Duck, yeah, bigger phrases, yeah. But like when it goes to the B section there, this is a nice, interesting one. So I'm thinking of like, it's sort of, I guess you could say it's modulated to the 4, but again, it's, if not, it's secondary to 2/5 to the 4. Again, it's sort of like minorized as sort of 4 minor there, but it's also, you could hear seeing that as like it's like a, you know, it's kind of gone to the 3 to the major 3, and then here we've got like a another 3/625 that takes us back to the A section, and which is the same then as the top. So like chords wise, this one's not been too bad, and I think that's helped. But still, even though I've got that sort of process of like chunking these larger things with terms of harmonic analysis, it's still, you know, takes a bit of time. So it's only been a week I've been sort of playing this one, but I suppose I should, you know, and I've been doing it like maybe a few minutes a day really. It's not like I've been actively trying, it's just part of my bigger picture. But yeah, the melodies kind of take a little bit longer if I don't, just in terms of having more freedom and access to playing different places and stuff, and really getting familiar with them. But it's such a beautiful one, and you know, it's absolute. It's one that I've always wanted and should have, you know, known that I should have committed to doing, but I've not done it yet. So I'm doing it now. So yeah, the other one I've been working on is the. This is one of my absolute favorite tunes. It's the Bill Evans, very early.
1, 2, 3, 2, 2.
Gone again. Thought I had it. But this bit. Hey, Jens. Okay, knocked him down. Yeah, and so do you go into the B section? Do you you come down there then? So yeah, I'm not doing chords at the same time yet. Yeah, that's nice. Let me play that. Just do that. Down and see how that sounds. It's all going. 1, 2.
2, 2.
Yeah, it really is. You cheeky chappy. It is indeed, mate. How's it going, Steve? Steve is a lovely fella with a great, colourful YouTube channel, and yeah, good guy. Go check him out. Cheers, dude. Okie dokie. So that one is like pretty much there in terms of playing over the changes without having to stare at it. And I'm feeling like that tempo as well. That's something else I should have mentioned. In fact, the tricky thing is it's so tempo dependent, and it's not a technique thing. Or sometimes it can be in terms of swing, but yeah, thinking like, wonder if like Jens or Lawrence, if you're still watching, like, do you guys have that issue like with, is there a thinking element that that becomes an issue for you guys at high tempos, like, or even not high, but like say if I don't know what tempo that is, that. Yeah, like 50% quicker than that, and I definitely would, my freedom would struggle, would come down, my sort of ability to be, yeah, come down. Yeah, because it's one that when Tom and I have jammed very early, like I actually quite like it musically from that kind of tempo, not just being like because I can't do it at faster tempos. I just do think I think it's nice at that sort of tempo. But Tom always quite likes to go like. Which is quite nice too when it's bouncing and up. But yeah, I just find just that gear shift of like having to. In fact, let me do a little experiment. I'll have to resort to our real. Is there a waltz? I'll have to do. So I can't think of that, especially with the B section. I'm struggling to think. Yeah. And then I just kind of get tired and fatigued. So. No, Jens, I was looking at the chart then. It's very kind of you, but no, it definitely feels a struggle. It feels like the slowdown, and I was looking at the chart, being honest. But that's what I mean about like, I'll do it one more time without at that speed without looking. Then I should probably wind down. This would be a good tune to have a harmony chat about, Jens. Together. No. think I'm getting tired now. Yeah, that ain't gonna happen. So where are we? So I've not got through all the tunes I was going to try and do. We've been chatting a lot, but that's good. That's a good thing. Wet Duck. Yes, I think it is. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful melody, and as Jens says, it's a weird one. But just man, it's like internally intoxicating as the way it twists and turns. Oh, this was the other one I've been getting really into lately. The sort of monk stuff and like. What's it? Ask Me Now. That was it. That was the tune I've been digging a lot lately. Yeah. I don't think I have a choice but to think because I'm not. Yeah. I have to dig into what you mean a little bit more by that maybe on stream, Lawrence. Yeah, I need to give you a bro message as well maybe. That's I've ordered the bottle of whiskey he'd recommended. I was going to tell him that and have a chat. Yeah, I'm starting to flag 502 Blues is fun. I don't really know that one. Don't know that one. Just pause. I'll have a listen and yeah. Yeah, I don't know that tune. Okay, well thanks Jens. I will look at that. Put that into the list to listen and discover. Fantastic. When you say the shorter changes, I'm presuming you mean like the noun, as in Wayne, is it, or with a capital S? Anyway, I will do some digging. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to wind it down. It's been really good fun. It's been a nice. I've managed to do 13 of these now in a row. I guess if you count like Sunday to Sunday, I did miss the Sunday, but it's good to Wayne Shorter. It's good to keep this going. So a bit of final just tidy housekeeping stuff. Going to do this Sunday, as in coming Sunday, the 8th, I think. I'm hoping to still get Leon Todd on, do a bit of a hang and a jam and chat, and so I'll do. But if you check out sort of Instagram and the channel, I'll be posting about it as soon as I can lock that down. And other things like if you want to support the stream, then there's a Patreon for presets, captures, tabs, backing tracks, all that kind of thing. The solo app. And the fretboard visualization course, all the links are down below. Thanks again for the birthday wishes. It's been lovely to hang out with all you guys. And Lawrence in the chat, Harrison, do check out his YouTube channel. He's going to be joining me in a couple of weeks for a hang. And you guys will all know Jens, I'm sure, the maestro, master, jazz educator himself, and absolute legend. But if you don't, go check out Jens as well, of course. He's got a phenomenal resource of a YouTube channel and wonderful guy. So hopefully we can get Jens on at some point as well for a chat. Stacey, thanks. Good to see you. Thanks, Little Jack. Much appreciated, everybody. Cool. I will sign off and yeah, catch you later. Bye. Thanks, Jason. See you. Bye.